I promise to keep it concise, like the title of my talk today. Socialism no es bueno. And I don't think that I need to translate that for you. My name is Jose Cambrils. I live in Loudoun, New Hampshire with my beautiful wife, Allison. I'm a retired engineering manager from BAE Systems down in Nashua, New Hampshire. And as you just heard, last year I ran for New Hampshire State Representative for District 9, Merrimack County District 9, Loudoun, Canterbury. I lost in a somewhat close race, but I have already planned to run again in 2020. And in the meanwhile, I'm keeping myself busy as treasurer of the Merrimack County Republican Committee and as an activist for 603 Alliance, Americans for Prosperity, and now a new and exciting group that I'm working with Ed Nail on Voter Integrity Network. So I want to thank the 603 Alliance for giving me a few minutes today just to tell my story quickly. It's a story of escaping from what would have been a nightmare life in Cuba and instead being able to be blessed to live out the American dream here in the United States. My parents were born in Spain, as were the many generations of my family before them. In the 1950s, they had already survived through a horrific Spanish Civil War. And then now they were dealing with the many years of the Francisco Franco's brutal fascist dictatorship, under which my grandfather was executed for merely being falsely denounced by a radicalized neighbor of his that was part of Franco's party. A side note there, decades later, when they discovered the mass graves, they found that Franco had slaughtered over 1 million Spaniards in order to keep his grip on power. And many people didn't know that until it came out, again, years later. So with that uncertain future in Spain, my parents made a bold move and they resettled in Cuba. Things went very well for them the first few years that they were there. My father, having been a watchmaker since the age of 10, was able to establish a watchmaking company. We had a big, beautiful house. We owned land. Things were prosperous. At that time, Fulgencio Batista was the president. He was in his second term as president of Cuba. In 1940 through 44, in his first term, he had actually done a fairly good job. But when he came back later, from 52 to 58, he ran a very corrupt and dictatorial type government. So with so many people hating Batista, it's no surprise that when this young charismatic Fidel Castro came along with promises of utopian life through his socialist policies, it didn't take him very long to get enough people to form a revolution and to win that revolution. Castro became Prime Minister of Cuba in 1959, but in short order, it became clear that he was going to be a dictator for life. The promises that Castro made faded very quickly, and instead what we got was a total government takeover. They nationalized all businesses and properties. My family no longer owned anything. The party quickly gave away our homes to the party elites. Food was severely rationed. We ate mostly lentil beans and rice. Meat was non-existent. You were not even allowed to kill and eat your own farm animals, as the government now owned all property. We had a friend go to jail for 3 years for simply killing one chicken to feed his hungry family. Another neighbor of ours, well, before I get to that, one of the things that the government quickly imposed was that everybody that was able-bodied was volunteered to cut sugarcane in the fields. And you had to cut sugarcane from 12 to 18 hours a day with a machete. So one of our neighbors cut these 3 fingers off of each hand in order to not have to work the fields. Another neighbor just hung himself out of total despair. The only partial truth of socialism is that it makes everyone more equal. Because under that system, 99% of you will be equally miserable. But you can be assured that the party elites will be living a great life at the expense of everybody else. My family was incredibly blessed that we had a relative living in Boston, Massachusetts, that agreed to sponsor us to come to the US. And in November of 1965, that dream came true. We received permission to legally immigrate to the United States. We came with a suitcase each and the clothes on our backs. I was only 5 years old then, but I immediately loved this country from day one. I quickly assimilated, learned the language. I went to Boston public schools, and one of the most proudest days of my life was in July of 1973 when I was sworn in as a US citizen. I went on to graduate from Boston Technical High School. I was the first one in my family to earn a college degree. I got an engineering degree from Northeastern University. And in 1983, I started what was to become a 35-year career in military and commercial electronics with Wang Laboratories in Lowell, Massachusetts. I earned an MBA along the way from the University of Lowell in Lowell. And in 2015, I was able to achieve one of my life goals. I was able to retire at the age of 55. This positive turnaround in my life, going from an oppressive government with no incentive to excel and with no foreseeable future, to a land of unlimited potential and self-betterment and success, could only happen in America. Our capitalist system may not be perfect, but it is without doubt the best system the world has ever seen. So I'm here today, openly and freely, speaking to you. I'm here to warn you. Don't take this or any of our constitutional rights for granted. We may not have them much longer if we don't stay vigilant and fight and continue to fight for them. Even as I speak, there are many Democrats that are openly calling for and demanding restrictions on speech, more gun control, keeping faith out of our daily lives, and more regulation over businesses. This, I can tell you, are all hallmarks of how the socialist governments take complete control and eventually, but unfortunately too late for us, impose their true communist agenda. I love America, and I can tell you that what makes this country truly special and different from all the others are our Judeo-Christian principles and the Constitution that was founded on those beliefs. Please, let's not give up our golden goose for promises of greener grasses and Green New Deals. Thank you.